Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of AEW Dynamite for June 18th, 2025. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. Let's discuss a historic edition of Dynamite. First time ever in Mexico. AEW was at Arena Mexico, the home of CMLL. As Excalibur put it like 20 times during the show, the cathedral of Lucha Libre. We opened up the show with the number one contender for the world title, Hangman Adam Page. Now, he spoke pretty much his entire promo in Spanish to the live crowd and the viewers at home. He essentially talked about the relationship between AEW and CMLL. He also talked about Jon Moxley. He was not going to be getting involved in Moxley's match in the main event. And that was pretty much it. The crowd really enjoyed the live promo. I will say this. I think it was great for the live crowd. Maybe it should have been for the live crowd only. The thing is, if you're a non-Spanish speaker watching this, you're just going to change the channel. You have a guy talking in Spanish for a long time. It's one thing if he said a few lines in Spanish, but the whole promo in Spanish, I feel like if you're a non-Spanish speaker watching it, you're going to lose interest very quickly. Just my opinion, though. I'm sure there are some that will disagree with me on that. I'm not sure it was the right move for a television show to have a long promo like that. Maybe just have him say a few lines in Spanish and then do the rest in English. Just my opinion, though. Crowd enjoyed it. And again, maybe it would have been better for the live crowd, and then they could have had him cut mostly an English promo on a show that is watched mostly by people that are speaking English. Easy for me to say. We had our first match of the evening, which was a 12-man tag team match. 12 men in this one. We had, I can't even pronounce the name of one of these guys. We had Bandido and then Templario, I'm not even sure how to pronounce the name. Atlantis Jr., Adam Cole, Brody King, Daniel Garcia. And they were going up against FTR, but Cash Wheeler was not there. Dax was, though. Kyle Fletcher, Takeshita, Josh Alexander, Hechicero. And then they added Atlantis Sr. to the babyface team, and then Lance Archer and Valador Jr. were in the match. It ended up being a 14-man tag team match. So many people that most of them had to stand on the floor and not up on the apron for this one. The match itself was fine. They were mostly playing by the rules. I figured we would have way more chaos in this with all these guys out there, but it was surprisingly subdued. The crowd still liked it, though. They kept booing Atlantis, and I don't know the background with these luchadors. Don't know why he's getting booed. Maybe somebody in the chat can tell me about that and let me know what's up with that. But yeah, it was a decent TV match. Nothing spectacular, though. And then Atlantis ended up pinning Dax Harwood with the small package, and the crowd was not happy with that. They were cheering for Dax Harwood. Now, shout out to Ian, who sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Ian. I really do appreciate it. Ian is a regular viewer on the No DQ YouTube channel. I appreciate the super chat. Ian says AEW dragged tonight. He also noted that he will be at Grand Rapids, Michigan for SmackDown this Friday. We'll enjoy that SmackDown in Grand Rapids. I'm not committed enough to drive to Grand Rapids for a SmackDown or a Raw. But if they ever do a PLE in Grand Rapids, I would consider going. If AEW did a show in Grand Rapids, I would consider going. More likely a PLE, or not a PLE, a pay-per-view, than a Dynamite or a Collision. But enjoy the show, Ian. I hope you like it. And thank you again for the super chat. We had our next match, which was the Continental Champion, Okada, going up against Mark Briscoe. I was talking about this with Matthew on Facebook. Briscoe is basically Otis, or one of those guys who is a beloved babyface, but he's never winning. In this type of match, you know damn well Okada is never going to lose to Mark Briscoe here. I didn't really care about the match all that much. It was fine for what it was. Briscoe did get in some offense. He was doing his redneck kung fu. He bit the middle finger of Okada at one point, but then Okada avoided the J Driller, hit the Tombstone Pile Driver, and then finished him off with the Rainmaker. It was fine for what it was, but predictable. Ultimately, Okada was never losing this one, and they showed a little video package hyping up the match. And then after the match, they continued the attack. Don Callis even got a few shots in, and then Okada laid out Briscoe with the championship. No Omega in front of the crowd, which actually surprised me. I figured he would have been there. He would have gotten a great reaction, but no Okada, or no Omega, I should say, on this show. Next up, we had MJF versus Místico, formerly known as Sin Cara. Keep that in mind. Now, MJF was out there, of course, with the red, white, and blue, and he was still getting some cheers because he's MJF. He had the Hurt Syndicate out there with him. He tried the Code Red early, but, or I should say Místico tried the Code Red early. MJF kicked out, escaped to the outside, and then the Hurt Syndicate shielded MJF, and then he took a cheap shot at Místico, and then Lashley got in a few shots as well while the referee was distracted. I did want to mention the crowd really likes Místico's theme song. Does nothing for me, but I've never heard it before, and it's in Spanish. But yeah, the crowd absolutely loved Místico, which, you know, you would expect that considering his tenure in Mexico. Now, after the commercial break, we had Místico making his comeback. He did some good lucha things, but then MJF did some good MJF things. He raked the eyes, poked the eyes, and then they brawled on the outside. MJF tried to run away. Místico went after him. MJF caught him. And then MJF gave him a Tombstone Pile Driver on the floor, which would take most men out, but not Místico in Arena Mexico, the cathedral of Lucha Libre. He barely beat the 10 count. Well, everybody beats the 10 count. Like I've always said, I'll be surprised the day that somebody doesn't actually beat the 10 count. It happens every single time. I can't even remember the last time somebody failed to beat the 10 count at 9. I want that. Just one time, I want somebody to fail to beat the 10 count. He got in the ring, and then he put the arm bar on. He managed to get the arm bar on MJF. MVP distracted the referee. MJF was tapping out, but referee didn't see it because of MVP's distraction. And then MJF gave Místico a low blow, but Místico kicked out. He has balls of steel. AJ Styles would not kick out of a low blow, but Sin Cara can kick out of low blows. And then furthermore, MJF was so desperate, he hit another low blow, but this time right in front of the referee, causing a disqualification. So we had this long-ass match that ended in a DQ. That's politics for you. I guess CMLL did not want Místico losing, and AEW did not want MJF losing by pinfall or submission. So they do the disqualification to the long match. And then the Hurt Syndicate comes in the ring. They shove down the referee. They rip off the mask of Místico. MJF puts it on, which I thought was pretty funny. But then we had the Luchadors run down, and Hurt Syndicate's distracted. Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight then come off the top rope, attacking the Hurt Syndicate, and the good guys are standing, and I guess they gave Místico a replacement match. So yeah, MJF could not even beat Sin Cara. That's the thing. When you bury the guy and then you lose to him, it doesn't really make you look that good. MJF's like, you're just Sin Cara, and then MJF loses to him. Can't even beat him, so he gets DQ'd. Yeah, I mean, the match was all right, but man, I feel like MJF's stock has just declined so much. They really need to do something with this Hurt Syndicate storyline, because he really does just feel like a lackey for Bobby Lashley, and he's out there with the MVP attire. Like, I feel like MJF is really, he should be above these guys. You know, these are the veterans, you know, their best days are really behind them. And MJF is the future of wrestling. Yet MJF feels like the goofball. He feels like Disco Inferno in the NWO. Like he feels like just the lackey or the sidekick. So they really got to do something here with MJF. Like I feel like that this show hurt his stock. You know, he does the stereotypical coming out there in the red, white, and blue, and then I guess you can't have him actually beat Místico. I liked the putting on the mask, but yeah, I don't know how I felt about the DQ. Wasn't the biggest fan of it. Next up, we had the 4 million pesos, which really isn't that impressive. I mean, what is it, like $10,000 or something? I forgot what the actual number is, but obviously it's not anything close to $4 million in American money. Maybe somebody can help me with the actual figure. How much money is 4 million pesos in US dollars? So yeah, this sounds like something out of like your run-of-the-mill independent show. 4 million pesos, high-flying four-way match. Really, it feels like something out of like 1990, an independent wrestling show flyer. The 4 million pesos high-flying four-way match. Máscara, Dorada versus Ricochet versus Hologram versus Lio Rush. Apparently it was Dave Beasley says it was around $200,000 US. So I mean that's decent, I guess, you know, for a wrestler. That's a nice chunk of change, 6 figures. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Anyways, this was basically a tag team match in the beginning. There you go. Thank you for that, Charlie. Yes, Excalibur did mention it, but I just forgot it. It was like a tag match for most of it. You had Ricochet and Rush working together, and then the good guys were working together for a while. And then, of course, as this typically goes, Ricochet and Rush had a falling out. They started shoving each other. Good guys took advantage, but then they went after each other. They were fighting, and Rush tried to win using his feet on the ropes, but that did not work. And then Hologram pinned Rush with the airplane spin, turned into a sit-down power bomb. And there you go. Hologram wins in Arena Mexico, the cathedral of Lucha Libre. And they kept bringing up how he's undefeated. He's like 24-0 or something, which he's been winning a lot of collision matches. I'll say that much to get that number. Next up, we had the CMLL World's Women's Championship, World Women's title, whatever it is, the women's title for CMLL. Let me try to pronounce this name. Zusi, not sure if that's the pronunciation or not, defending the title against Mercedes Moné, the belt collector. She's got Kenny Omega's gimmick, and actually it was Ultimo Dragon's gimmick from back in the day, winning all the championships. And it was a back and forth competitive match with these two. Zusi kicked out of the Meteora, and then she made a bit of a comeback. She did the Spanish Fly. Mercedes kicked out of that, though. And then Mercedes tried to put on the Statement Maker submission, but Zusi avoided that. And then she went for an avalanche power slam, I guess. But Mercedes countered it in midair and ended up pinning Zusi to become the new CML Women's Champion. Now she has another belt to add to her collection. Nobody was surprised by this. I mean, I think 0 people were shocked by this outcome. Mercedes wins again. Mercedes wins, LOL. That's the meme. Mercedes Hogan, whatever you want to call her, picks up yet another victory to go into her All-In Texas match with Timeless Toni Storm. And speaking of Toni Storm, after the match was over, we had a little vignette from Toni Storm, and then Mina Shirakawa appeared on the stage. It was meant to be a distraction because Mercedes was attacked from behind by Toni Storm, who was dressed up in this red outfit, and she gave Mercedes a German suplex. Mercedes ran away. Officials had to stop Toni. Toni got on the microphone and said, "Let the games begin." Angle was good. I did think it was a solid build-up for All In. I know people are mad about Mercedes, but, you know, they're really trying to make this match the biggest match in AEW women's history, and it realistically is. I mean, I think you could even make an argument for this being the main event over Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley. Like, if there was ever going to be a women's match main eventing an AEW pay-per-view, I think that this could be the one. We had our main event of the evening, which was a 10-man tag team match. So another big multi-way match on the show. We had the Death Riders minus Claudio, who could not make it. He was replaced by Mercedes Moné's new man, the Beast Mordos. And they teamed up with the Young Bucks, the EVPs, the Founding Fathers, whatever you want to call them. And they went up against the Opps, Samoa Joe, Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs, Will Ospreay, and Swerve Strickland. Great reaction for Will Ospreay, who's not in the main event of All In. And it started off as your normal match, but then, of course, things broke down. Will Ospreay did the Sky Twister to the outside onto the pile of guys. Will Hobbs came in and cleaned house. Then Ospreay and Swerve did some dives. Mordos then came in and built up some momentum for his team. Samoa Joe then got into the mix. By the way, the announcer said this was Samoa Joe's first time ever competing in Arena Mexico, the cathedral of Lucha Libre. Then Ospreay and Swerve started working together against Moxley, but then Marina Shafir provided a distraction. How about that outfit of Marina, by the way? Her top. We had, hold on a second, got something in my eye. Time out here for just a moment. All right, there we go. It is humid here in Michigan. Marina provided a distraction. Moxley rolled up Swerve, got the win while grabbing the tights. And then after the match, Hangman Adam Page came out there. He wasn't going to get involved during the match, but he did show up after the match was over. He came to the ring. He brawled with Jon Moxley. And then he went for the buckshot lariat. But basically, Matthew Jackson got into the ring. Moxley moved, and Page hit his old friend Matthew Jackson with the buckshot lariat, and that was the end of the show. I don't know how this will impact the storyline moving forward, but you know they're teasing that further dissension, I guess, between the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page. So overall, I know some people will not like this opinion. Maybe not the majority of people watching this stream, but if any diehard AEW fans watch this, they may not be happy with this. I thought it was just an okay show. I was actually a little disappointed because I thought they were going to put on like a pay-per-view quality show. And I just thought the matches were good, but nothing too memorable. We only had one promo on the show, and it was in Spanish. And it was a long show, but didn't really feel like a pay-per-view quality show. It didn't. The matches were good, but not good enough to really justify it being overly long. It was like 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and it did feel like it dragged at times. I have to say, I was not super invested in what was happening during the show. I don't really follow Lucha Libre. I don't follow CMLL, and it didn't really make a big impact on me. Now, I did like the vibe a little bit, and the crowd was really good. It was a nice change of pace. It was a big crowd for AEW, and I will give them that. It helped a little bit, but I did have a bit of a disconnect with it. I think it was a very average show. The vibe, the novelty of the first show in Arena Mexico, I'll give them a point for that. Thus, I'm going with a 6. I think I'm being fair. I do think it was a good show, but I was maybe expecting a little bit more, and it didn't quite hit like I was hoping it would. It kind of felt like some of those WWE international shows where the expectations are higher when they're outside the United States, and it was just kind of a normal show, other than the novelty of it being outside of the U.S. That's how I felt about Dynamite. Good, but not what I was really hoping for. That's all I got for this week. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Let me know your thoughts, what you liked, what you didn't like, and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news and rumors. If you want the full transcript, well, basically a transcript of what Hangman Page said, head over to NoDQ.com. News about Liv Morgan, very unfortunate that she's going to need surgery and she'll be out of action. NoDQ.com will keep you posted on all that. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time. And good luck in Grand Rapids, Ian. I'll see you guys on the next stream. Take care, everybody.